I think everybody wants to make a crazy sum of money in crypto. And I think for most people, this would be achievable if you do not make some of the most common, critical mistakes. One of which is making a ton of money when things are good, but losing it all when things get bad. And another is that when things are, as beautiful, and there's any slight downturn, you sell everything. And here's a very good example. Bitcoin struggled multiple times to get through a barrier. The moment it broke through and got really all exciting, it touched just below that previous resistance, and that's where a lot of people decide to sell at. Well, in theory, that is exactly the moment where you should be buying. And there's this beautiful saying, buy when there's blood in the streets, even if the blood is your own. And that essentially stands in this case for, even if your portfolio is down tremendously, you're not loving life right now looking at your coins, that is the moment to buy. And so when you take a look at the market, there are mostly, let me just tell you, two main ways to invest in this effectively. I'd say option number one is investing based on fair value, or what we often call value investing. What you're looking at, for example, is, hey, how far are these coins in terms of market cap, not actually price, but let's just say price here. How far are they away from their all-time high? Bitcoin only 5%, Ethereum like 50%, XRP only 34%. Looking at that in this case here, hey, perhaps Ethereum is actually quite, quote unquote, undervalued because it is so far away from its all-time high, even though it's the number 2 coin. Many of the other coins in this list are actually way closer to an all-time high. Maybe it's not gone up as much as many of the other coins have, and thus is a good buy right now. It's just one example. There are many though, and there are multiple factors for that. For example, I'd say part number 2, which is taking a look at, for example, the weekly performance, monthly performance, daily, hourly, just all the recent performances or even year to date. What you'll notice is on Ethereum, for example, it's gone down roughly 24% since the start of the year up to now, but this week and this month, it's gone up tremendously. And now we get to the, second investment strategy, which is momentum investing, meaning when things are doing good, in this case you're plus 50% in a week, they will probably continue to do good. Matter of fact, they'll do better. So that is again a moment where a lot of people buy in. Now, real quick before we move on, if you also want to join in on the bots and stuff I'm going to talk about today, there's links in the description, right? Here's a link to Payonics, the exchange I'm going to use in this video for the most part. It's just where you can buy and sell crypto and do some copy bot trading. Just check it out. Link is down below. Sign up with this link to claim yourself some juicy bonuses, as you can actually get yourself upwards of $100 for just signing up, no KYC necessary, and get yourself $800 for just depositing. Anyway, links are down below for all. The problem with strategy number 1, if you're value investing, is you're not sure if you're buying it. For example, if I'll take a broader Bitcoin chart, right? Let's say we are trying to buy based on the idea that it's cheap. We do not know if we're buying, for example, at the perfect bottom here, at 33% down, or if we're buying right here at this dip, for example, 30% down, where yes, on the short term we might make some money, but the market actually moved down tremendously over the next few weeks still. We do not know if we're buying, this dip right here just before it turns right back around, or if you get it, right? We're buying the deepest of this, so you do not know which dip you're buying. And theoretically speaking, when you're buying something that's significantly discounted to what you think it should be at, you're just hoping that you're not buying that discount where the market's only going to keep moving down, since, well, the opposite strategy is you're investing based on momentum. When things are doing good, which is in almost any market the case, you expect them to continue on with the way they're going right now. So the pro to that strategy is, well, you're right more often. You're right more often, but very often it looks moronic to do so. So again, the pros and cons of strategy number 1 is you're getting yourself a good discount, and you're basically most likely going to be right anyway, because if you're buying Ethereum at 60% below its all-time high and you think the crypto market will move up, you have a pretty good chance in being right at some point or another. The part, the other side with the momentum investing is you're buying something that's already trending the right way, and a trend we always expect to continue, but you're buying it at a significantly higher price. And, well, if you're buying Ethereum after it's hit its all-time high, it's going well, there's a good chance you've got, 100% gains, maybe 200% gains still left, but there's a closer ceiling. Whereas if you're buying the bottom or close towards a bottom, or you're trying to buy when it's really heavily discounted, obviously you've got the ride to all-time high, and then the second ride of that price exploration. Now, based on what I've just described to you, this is just a side note, but I've got a Ethereum bot running. Now, what this specific bot actually has done, and what my strategy with this is I opened about a $1,500 investment with 5x leverage, so about let's call it 7.5K trade. And essentially, I bought in at a really interesting time. I bought in at Ethereum at about $2,130, which to me looked extremely stupid, which is why I bought a little amount. But ultimately, over the next 4 days or so, you can see the price went to $2,500. So what was my strategy and how did the bots work? Well, so let's just quickly go and take a look at the Ethereum chart. You want to know where I bought Ethereum at? Well, again, we can just look back about 4 days. I bought Ethereum when it went from $1,700 to $2,130 in a day. So I bought after it went up 20% in a day. Many people would call me ridiculously dumb, stupid, etc., etc. You know the reason I bought? Well, because if I was right, the price would continue on over the next few days or weeks and go absolutely crazy because the momentum is there. If I was wrong, here comes the nice part. The price would come down hard, but I could just buy more, average my price in, for example, to maybe about $1,900 or so. And because of the way these crypto bots work, I would actually buy so much more on the way down. And again, I'm talking here about my investment being at $2,100. Then the bot itself would buy its way down, just however low it goes, it'd keep buying. But then I'd average my investment in at, for example, $1,400, $1,600, whatever, if the price went down a lot. So then my average price would be maybe in the middle. But since for my earlier buys, it'd keep on buying down lower and lower and lower. And also every time I moved up, sell, you'd still end up making a lot of profit if Ethereum went from 2,100 to maybe 1,400 to back to 1,700. You'd still be in a lot of profit at that point if that's what the price would do. So I'd ultimately also save myself. And that is where I come to now state that as long as you've got the funds to not get yourself liquidated, and for the Ethereum bot that'd be below $1,500, all we need to do then at that point, if the price starts to go lower and lower and lower, is just add some more margin. In this case here, if I add enough margin, I will never get liquidated. But of course, you do not want to lock our funds up in the bot if you do not have to. So I'd personally always do it a bit later, unless you still have that money laying around on your account anyway. But the whole idea with these bots is it doesn't matter if the price goes up or down over the next few days or weeks or months, really. Because even if it just goes sideways, and this excellent bot, it was at a massive amount of profit before, like 30%. It was actually at a loss afterwards, but in the middle, it's just been grinding out these sales, meaning over the last 2 days, I've actually secured myself 1% profit, even though the price, theoretically speaking, has just stayed stable, right? It's gone from 30.4 to 30.9, so basically just it hasn't moved, but it's officially cashed out 1% in the middle. If you average this out over a year, just again, going sideways only, it doesn't matter if it goes up or down, I still more than double my money in a year just from the price only going sideways. If the price goes up a lot, obviously it could be more than a 10x, for example. It just depends a bit. But that is the beauty in all of this. And that is also why I've now done a new $10,000 to $1 million challenge, why I've opened bots for so many altcoins, and I've got, I opened new $500,000 positions just a few days ago, like 6 days ago here, almost a week ago now, which is up about 45K on just those 2 trades alone. But again, I'm not too concerned about the unrealized P&L. I'm more concerned about the grid profits, and looking back at the start of the video about what I said. The biggest concern for many people is that they sell when the price goes down lower, when they instead should be buying when the price goes down lower. And this solution just automates that a little bit. But even then, when I bought in for most of these bots, like virtual, all of those, first of all, I only bought in small because we're going up so much, right? And I said to everybody when I was opening up, saying, if the price is going down hard, I'll average in more and more and more. I wanted to actually put $50,000 times 3 or 5, meaning $150,000 to $250,000 for many of these different coins. Maybe for virtuals and for Fartcoin a little bit less, just less than what I usually do because they're more volatile. But on the opposite side, the more volatile, the more money you'd also make, right? You can see this has only been 2 days and it's secured 3% profit already. But the problem is, if the price goes against you, like for example with the reinvestment $1 million challenge, you're going to be at a loss for a longer amount of time. Now, ultimately, it'll keep buying and selling once it's going down. So again, you will actually still make money in the process, but it's just very annoying to look at. Just like how this blowfin trade that I have, it's a, I think $350,000 position or so, was actually at $100,000 loss before. Right now it's back to 2K. If I had made the good decision of doing this in a bot instead of in a future position. I'd make less money if the price went up straight away, sure, but right now I would have probably on the 350K already been able to cash out like $40,000 or $50,000 from just the price going down and up and down and up, etc. throughout the last 2 months or so that I've had this position open for. Maybe 3 months. I do not remember exactly when I opened this up. So getting back to it, what is my critical mistake that many people should not make? It is selling when the price starts falling down. Realize that you're in this for the longer haul. There are two main methods to buy, and there's really never any good reason to sell at a loss unless your strategy really thinks that's the best idea. Meaning, if you've got a strategy with certain percentages, you've calculated it all, and you realize, hey, if I sell right now, this is just my, for example, my stop loss, and I'm gonna buy back in cheaper or just open a new trade altogether, that is fine. But if you are a person who believes in crypto and you're selling at a loss, then the only question I've got is, what is your bigger idea there? To me, that is to minimize your loss exposure, right? It's to basically stop yourself from losing a lot of capital. But you're buying altcoins not because you're afraid to lose money. You're there to make a frick ton. So what I always say is, you sell altcoins in profit. I personally never sell them at a loss. At that point, if they go to a loss, I'm gonna wait it out because as long as I bought quality assets, they will go back up. The moment I sell at a loss, unless there's a better opportunity at that point, or you just wanna stable up to minimize things, it depends. In this type of market like we're in right now, it's too bullish for me to do that. In, let's say, for example, 2 years ago, when the market wasn't really looking all that green, I understood if you wanna minimize risk. But again, that is coming from the perspective of, everything went crazy exponential already. Everything went massive, 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 crazy gains across the board. And the run was basically over, and maybe people really thought it was over. This time around, we've had a bull run for a couple years already, right? But the real altcoin season hasn't even gone yet. We've not even seen it yet. So to sell right now, before this happens, yes, there's a chance of another flush, of a 50% flush, maybe even more, who knows? But the probability of us going skyrocketing exponential is too high here for me to risk not being involved. That is why when I would say, is it a good moment to sell? I'd say, well, realistically speaking, I think you're in a better position to buy those dips aggressively, to average in at lower prices than to sell everything and just pray that it's gonna come down so hard where you can buy back in. Again, that's my personal thoughts on the matter. If I was a person that wanted to sell everything single time things went bad, or I want to make sure I don't lose too much, I think those bot type of situations are better, where again, you just buy in as the prices go down. By the way, if you want to follow along, like I said earlier in the video, some links are down below to either Pionex, which is the platform I use for the bot trading stuff, and you can copy my bots right there by just clicking the link. I also have a tutorial video for it. SFUND is where I just open a lot of trades. We actually use it in a lot of places. This you can use from anywhere in the world, by the way, and you get yourself $10 to $100 for just signing up, so that's pretty nice as well. Bybit is the most trusted exchange I use, but you cannot use it in a lot of countries. And yeah, I'd say that's about it for my thoughts, my view, and the biggest mistake that I do not want you guys to make.